Sonic Forces may not be the beefiest game ever, but I've always found it very replayable and fun to master all the stages despite how short they are. I'm going to be including all the secret areas that you get for clearing each zone, as well as virtual reality act from episode Shadow, because that's a unique stage unlike the other two episode Shadow levels which are just copies. But since I haven't gotten every single red ring in Sonic Forces, I'm not going to be including all the extra stages. So with that, grab a chili dog. We're in for quite a wild ride. Let's rank 'em, baby. 37, Iron Fortress. Yep, this is the one I'm claiming as the worst one. Because Classic Sonic doesn't move the same way as he does in Sonic Generations, this automatically makes it feel so much slower. Playing as Classic Sonic in Sonic Forces finally made me realize why I prefer games like Sonic Colors over the first 4 Sonic the Hedgehog games. It's because you're actually able to lock on to enemies and boost. You don't really appreciate something unless it's gone. It makes the general platforming for Sonic easier, and because that's completely gone, most of the classic Sonic levels kind of suck, and Iron Fortress is the worst of the worst. One of the highlights of this level being the stupid rockets that come out of these red boxes, and you need to attack them in order to make them appear, but the rockets don't get destroyed. Then there's the red coin placements, which again are incredibly stupid. At least there's these spinning things like from the old Sonic games. It's nice to pay homage to that. But after that's done, guess what? There's an auto-scroller in a Sonic game, which makes total sense, of course. Not only is the side-scrolling so painfully slow, but the platforming is super difficult at that. And I get that this is at the end of the game, but why does the platforming have to be like this? 36 versus Dr. Eggman, the easiest boss fight in the entire game. Like seriously, you could get done the first phase before the dialogue is even done talking. It starts off with the classic Egg Wrecker, but then he gets into the Egg Dragoon, which is a fun Easter egg, but then again, it's still incredibly easy. Like seriously, if you just jump the whole time, you will never be hit by anything. And you wanna know how you damage the Egg Dragoon? Oh, easy, just toss these big balls of junk back at it. Yep, that's how you attack it. I'm finding it kind of funny that number 37 was the worst because it's too hard, and this is the second worst because it's too easy. And ranking things from worst to best is a lot harder than going over each one of them from 1 to 10. So I have to move on now. 35, Green Hill. Yep, this one is just about as bad as every other classic Sonic level. The platforming isn't really hard, it's just so tedious. You know how Green Hill is a blast to go through in Sonic 1? Yeah, that's completely gone in this game, in this particular level. There are so many different paths you can take, which is traditional for Sonic, but seriously, it's not fun when you have to go a certain way in order to collect things like red coins and just get around. It's not too hard, it's just more plain tedious. I think if I really want to play Green Hill, I'll just play Sonic 1, thank you very much. 34, versus Zavok. The first boss you fight, and it's by far the most tedious to get through. Like seriously, the main challenge is just trying to avoid the tiny robot enemies. Then you're just waiting for Zavok to launch you up in the air so that you can attack him. His attacks aren't even that hard to avoid, but if you choke and mess up, you're pretty much dead. So sure, Zavok technically serves this purpose for being the first boss, but I have no desire to go back and fight him by choice. If I'm redoing the main story, then okay, whatever. But if I have the choice to not do this level, I won't do it. 33, Aqua Road. You have literally no control when you're in the water. With all these robots in the water with you, you'll bounce around with hardly any control, and good luck getting all the red coins here. It'll literally take you 4 or 5 tries. And I'm just gonna say, the Whispin you use is not necessary at all. You could just blaze through the level if you wanted to. It's also the same case with Shadow's Boost in episode Shadow's version of Aqua Road. It's completely unnecessary. So yeah, this stage is pretty much a shining example why the levels in Sonic Forces make it not all that worth it to 100% this game. 32. Capital City. If you're a complete noob at this game, you're gonna go through some pain. The first part really isn't that bad, but once Infinite changes gravity, you're in for quite a wild ride. This side-scrolling segment is filled to the brim with enemies and lasers everywhere. You're gonna have to maneuver your way around if you want to get through it. And then once you start riding on the buildings, you're gonna have quite a wild time just trying to get around. There's lasers everywhere, and then once you get to the grind rail section, you need to pick one path and then you need to make it through. I think it's really just the lasers that make the level so hard. You're gonna need to have a lot of practice in order to get through this level. 31. Infinite Second Battle. You play as your OC and you go up against Infinite. You wanna know why this fight is so low on the list though? Well, it's because you can cheese it with your Wispin. I'm not even kidding. I'm sure most people who first play Sonic Forces and do the second Infinite fight will probably just use the wire homing attack, but no, you can just cheese the battle with your Wispin and it'll be over in about 5 seconds. Especially if you use the Asteroid Wispin. There's really not much else to say about this battle. Not even the egg robots that come out from the background really do much. 30. Casino Forest. Okay, now we're getting to the point where the acts that I'm going to be discussing are slightly better. This is quite a fun callback from Sonic the Hedgehog 1 with Casino Night, but there's so much bouncy nonsense that you can get into without having any control, similar to Aqua Road. And again, it's multi-layered, so getting the red coins is just going to be a pain in the butt to do. I know we keep bringing in the factor of the red coins, but that's also a big variable when it comes to ranking stages like this. But hey, at least the stages are starting to get fun. 29. Luminous Forest, the only Mystic Jungle one with modern Sonic. Woo! The 3D areas where you can just boost your way through is so dang good, but the 2D platforming is where it all falls apart. As usual, we have this Ferris wheels with platforms we have to jump around, and Sonic's boost is right there. Why would you not use it? And again, the red coins are in painfully hard to grab spot. That's pretty much the only bad thing about this level. I think that it gets really good about halfway in. We have this half pipe with all these robot dudes that you need to dash into, and each time you dash into them, you get more boost for your meter. And there's even this one section where Sonic will go through a cave and knock a bunch of robots away like they're bowling pins. And of course, there's that one moment where you need to time your homing attack perfectly in order to get past the snake, which is so dang cool. If it wasn't for the 2D section, this would probably be higher up. 28. Infinite First Battle. Like the second battle, it's stupidly easy. If you have some boost at your side, you'll catch up to Infinite super duper fast, and you can basically just take him out in less than 2 minutes if you want to. But if you touch these weird cubey things that Infinite spawns, then you'll lose all your rings, and Infinite will set up traps around the battlefield where if you get hit by them, you'll die because you won't have any rings. And if you die, Infinite laughs at you. I'm not even kidding, listen to this. There's even this one moment where you need to hit a bunch of Infinites to reach the back of them in order to hit the real Infinite. It's a battle that's worth doing, but it's over before you know it. 27. Fire Cannon. All the secret areas are in 2D, which makes them slightly more annoying to get by, but they're still fun. Fire Cannon has you playing as your OC, and you need to get around this huge maze of fire cannons in order to survive. The one problem with your OC character in a 2D space is that the jumping can be very stiff at times. Like seriously, there's times where I'm pressing the button and my OC character just won't get enough height and I'll lose my rings and have to start over. And it's not even as long as the base game levels, it's just incredibly short that's not even that much worth doing at all. If this was actually a little bit longer and actually had some 3D, it might be higher in the rank. 26. Vanish panel. You go across panels and they disappear. Oh! Yeah, you play as Sonic the entire time and you just need to make your way around. At least Sonic jumps higher than your OC in a 2D space. And for once, Sega actually made a stage that's 2D and fits well with Sonic's fast moving. That's pretty dang good. You need to act fast if you want to make sure that these vanish panels disappear at the right time or don't disappear under your feet. And the fact that the obstacles make it a little bit harder to move around is perfect. But then again, it's not that long and isn't worth doing that much. 25. Guardian Rock. So this one is it's easy to play slowly and it's difficult to master, and that's why I love it. Eggman sent a giant robot known as a multi-lake battle mech to Green Hill, and you play as your OC, and with a certain whiffin, you're going to be able to get around and defeat this big hunk of junk. If you find a path that works for you, you'll be able to get through this level easy peasy. And the mech doesn't exactly make that easy when it's stomping towards the ground. And if these legs stomp on you, it's a one-hit KO even with your rings. And the end is so dang good. The mech is chasing you, and you just dodge all these boulders, and you time your B press at the right time. You'll launch up to the mech, tie it up with your string, which may sound a little cliche, but the way it looks is so dang cool. Then it falls down. You're pretty much running away from it. It is so climactic that I cannot think of a better place to put this. 24. Network Terminal. This is the beginning is what steals the show the best. There's multiple different paths you could take, all leading to the same area, and it is so dang climactic. And once you're in, you have to get around and make sure you're not getting hit by the robots, which can actually be quite a detriment this time. And these chemical waterways will have a huge effect on you, making it, when you finally clear this level, all the more satisfying. And the ending, where you just dash across the loop, you launch yourself into the computer room and finish the level, it's just so amazing. But my only question though is why? I mean, seriously, Tails was at the chemical plant before. Did he really need Sonic to do it? I don't know, just wanted to point that out. 23. Plasma Cannon. As your OC, you need to make it through a 2D space while trying to avoid all these plasma cannons. While it may not be that long like the other secret areas, you'll have a great amount of fun blasting through this level. 22. Bomb Block 1. I flippin' love this one. The fact that when you touch these bomb blocks, they explode behind you, and I know that the idea came from Sonic Colors. The execution here is so cool that you can't help but love it. This is another level that's based off of Sonic's speed, and I can't be more grateful for that. Feels like over the years, Sonic's games haven't been focused more on speed, but rather on some other things. But I think that the speed levels for most Sonic games are the highlight. You'll have some fun blazing through this one, baby. 20. Lost Valley. First level in the game, and it is amazing. It immediately starts with you blasting through with the boost and hills telling you that you need to get to the city. Even the 2D section is a blast to get through. It's not complicated, doesn't screw around, and is straight to the point, which I could not be more thankful for. And hearing Sonic's dialogue throughout the level just makes this level so much more special. 19. Ghost Town. First level for classic Sonic, and it serves its purpose. All this level does is introduce the basic controls for classic Sonic, and that's it, and I flippin' love its simplicity. Seeing the robots in the background makes this setting pretty cool, and for some reason these are Death Egg robots, even if they don't resemble Death Egg robots at all. But whatever, this stage is a good one. 18. Spaceport. It's the first level with your OC character, and it introduces you to some of the basic things that you need to do. The homing attack is here, and it takes a while to do because it's a wire attack, unlike Sonic's spin attack. But can I just say that I found it glorious that Wisps come in Sonic Forces to power up the Wispin weapons. And the first Wispin you get isn't half bad. It's basically a fire thrower that you can launch up in the air with the fire Wispin. And that one 2D section doesn't feel like it's annoying. In fact, it feels like it plays quite well. And the grind rail sections are just as good. So yeah, I've made my point. 17, reverse block. You hit these blocks, then they respawn. It's really as simple as that. They don't really feel like platforms, they just feel more like obstacles. But with all the enemies scattered everywhere, you'll have a fun time, especially with what Wispin you pick. This one is quite the thrill. 16, Mortar Canyon. This level is huge, and you'll have quite a blast exploring it all. Yet again, it's an absolute thrill to just boost through entire stages. Collecting the red rings are easy, and getting through the robots are super fun. It's the perfect build up to lead right up to the battle. Speaking of, 15, versus Infinite 3. Third battle against Infinite, and it's one of those levels where Sonic is running forward the entire time trying to take out a boss, and I love those levels, especially when it comes to bosses. It's a repeat of the Metal Sonic fight, except there's a couple of different things, like Infinite's QB things that'll put you in virtual reality, and then once you're about halfway through, your OC will join you and you can use the Wispin, which doesn't really do much. Pretty much just the same as the fight as Metal Sonic. Even once you use the double boost to finish Infinite, it's pretty much just the same. 14, Red Gate Bridge. It starts off like a normal level, but then this giant robot dashes through the gate, and then you use a homing attack, and then when you time your homing attack right, you'll destroy the robot, and then once you're about 5 minutes into the level, you run into a version of Metal Sonic, and then it turns into a boss fight. Yeah, this was not meant to be a boss fight, so it's shocking to see that happen out of nowhere. This level does have red coins though, and they're all super close and easy to get if you know what you're doing. But basically, if Metal Sonic isn't attacking, if you just boost, you'll catch up to him and be able to attack him. But once you're halfway through, Metal Sonic gets angry, which is traditional, having a second phase once about halfway through the battle. But in a way, you're kind of timed to defeat Metal Sonic because these red blocky things are also following you in the battle, and if you don't defeat certain Metal Sonic fast enough, then they'll run you over and Metal Sonic wins. Let's move on from this. 13, Prison Hall. Another one focused more on platforming. The 3D section doesn't last long, and you're pretty much just running the entire time. The 2D section actually is fun. You'll collect a bunch of rings, and if you have a fire Wispin equipped to you, you can basically just fly over an entire part. It's simple, and you'll get it done if you know what you're doing. 12, Imperial Tower. It's the tower, but the level isn't even the best part. The best part is by far the cutscenes. The beginning one where Sonic's forces are going up against Infinite's fake clones of Zavok, Chaos, Metal Sonic, and it's just so climactic. Then Infinite releases a powerful blast into the sky, a giant sun appears that's going to explode and wipe out all of Sonic's forces. Then your OC climbs up Dr. Eggman's fortress, and the level is so dang cool. And the song in the background sets the mood perfectly, especially with everyone feeling so hopeless.
If you can get close enough to that sun, the prototype should cancel out the effect.
You'll be burnt to a crisp before then. Give it up, rookie! Fall back!
There's even these segments where you're doing wall jumps from Mario. Psycho, you're so silly sometimes. And if you have the asteroid Wispin, you can pretty much make yourself invincible the entire time and blaze through the level. And then once you're about halfway through, this giant blue light laser beam starts blasting down to the ground, chasing you, and touching it to one-hit KO even with your rings. And as you get closer to the fortress, it becomes harder to get away. And even at the last part, you need to continuously run away from that beam that's faster than you, by the way, in order to get to the spring and complete the level. It is on par with how great levels like the final boss in 3D World. Now you may be asking why this isn't higher up on the list. Well, there's one problem. It's in 2D. Even if it was just in 3D for the first bit and it was in 2D for the rest of it, I think it'd probably be better. But no, it's entirely in 2D, making it really hard to get around. 11. Virtual reality. Final act in episode Shadow, and it is pretty dang good. Shadow has to get around these platforms while asleep in virtual reality thanks to Infinite, and this is actually a unique stage unlike Sunset Heights and Aqua Road. It can be really hard not to get hit, but you'll have fun with this regardless. Sure, the entire time you may be in 2D, but the only reason that this is higher up on the list is because it's fun to go around and it's a unique stage. 10. Death Egg. Yep, it's the Death Egg as Classic Sonic. This is the one Classic Sonic level that I don't feel is annoying and is actually fun. There's hardly any robots that are hard to get. There's these invisible platforms that disappear from these lasers. And we even got this one upside down section similar to Sonic Advance. Dude, I can't believe how much care was put into this one level. And then at the end, you can use the invincibility in order to dash through a bunch of robots. It is amazing. 9. Egg Gate. Sonic's trying to escape the Death Egg, and it's pretty climactic. It balances out 2D and 3D sections. It's brilliant. The 2D sections inside the Death Egg are actually fun to traverse, especially if you know what you're doing. And then the 3D sections just have a bunch of grind rails and segments with red coins that you can collect pretty easily. And then at the end, you can use the homing attack and time it perfectly to get a bunch of points in order to reach the goal. 8. Park Avenue. The plot is that the people in the city need some help. No, nah. This level's really only here so that we can have a tiny gap for Tails and Sonic to get into the Mystic Jungle. That's literally the only reason this level is here. But the combat-focused structure is amazing, and there's many different areas you can explore in Park Avenue at that. You're gonna have quite a bit of fun going through this area, but of course there's still quite a couple of better ones. 7. Sunset Heights. This level is so good that it made its way into Shadow Generations. And now that I think about it, I think that Park Avenue could have been cut out entirely, and they could have just replaced it with a boss fight against Shadow. That would have been so much cooler, since Sunset Heights is supposed to be Sonic tracking down a fake Shadow. Have some fun, get the red rings. You're gonna go through what's basically a balanced out level between knowing when you need to slow down and boost. I think that this balanced out level is deserving of number 7, but there's still 6 more that are better than it. 6. Arsenal Pyramid. As far as I know, Wisp and Boot Camp. At first, you're just blazing through the level, going through the basic path, but then when you reach the checkpoint, it turns into Double Boost, where you're just bashing through a bunch of robots at once. And like I said before, this is basically Wisp and Boot Camp. You use different Wispins to get around because each Wisp in these little cases will let you pretty much fly. It's not the longest level ever, but you'll have some fun getting through this. 5. Laser Cannon. Secret area in Death Egg, and it is flippin' fun. As Sonic, you need to get around these platforms without getting hit by the laser. Although it's simple, you're gonna have some fun going through this 45-second level. 4. Metropolitan Highway. The war is finally at its tipping point. Sonic and his friends have destroyed the Death Egg and cut off Infinite's power supply, so Sonic goes to Metropolis in order to end this war. It starts off with you boosting through the level, and then you're going down this falling section with a bunch of rockets being launched at you. Then there's another 3D section where you boost through some robots, collect some red rings, and then it morphs back into a 2D section. Heck, I might as well bring up the moving platforms. These can either be a huge detriment when it comes to collecting the star rings, or really annoying. You'll learn to let this level kick your butt as many times as you need it to in order to get every single red ring. Platforming is flippin' amazing, and I can't be more thankful that this is a fun level. And it leads perfectly into the next level. Speaking of, 3. Null Space. It basically starts out with Sonic and your OC getting sucked into a flippin' black hole, and then you use double boost to break the black hole's void. Knuckles questions where Sonic goes, and this is his response.
What's up, everyone? I missed this place.
What happened, Sonic? You two just up and disappeared.
Nothing happened. Literally. Now let's track down Eggman.
Null Space's theme music is so eerie and quiet. And then when you get out of Null Space, the guitars rock out and Fist Bump plays in the background, which is the best part of Sonic Forces by far. Sonic Forces is the best song for playing the double boost. And the level layout is so cool. It can be really tricky at times, making it easy to learn how to do it, but incredibly difficult to master. And it's incredibly fun to do. There's sections where you go across grind rails, and then you're in an arena where you need to take out enemies in order to advance. If you've played this level so many times, you can actually feel the adrenaline rush with how fast you go. It's almost the best level in the entire game. Almost. 2. Final Judgment. Best level in the entire game. I'm gonna call it right here and now. You start off these grind rails doing an auto run section where you need to avoid a bunch of obstacles. That's pretty much the entirety of the level, but it's so dang climactic. And when you reach the end, there's this giant reactor where you need to use your homing attack a bunch of times in order to defeat these crystals with the Phantom Ruby inside. And then when it's done, you use the double boost and then you just get out of Eggman's fortress. It is amazing. And you may be asking, why is this number 2? Well, it's because that this is the best level in the game, but there's still a better boss fight. 1. Death Egg Robot. Doesn't resemble a Death Egg Robot at all, but whatever. I'm not complaining. You use all 3 of the characters for this. The first phase starts out with Classic Sonic, where you basically need to knock those gray balls back at the Death Egg Robot, similar to the Egg Dragoon. But they fall through the ground if you don't attack them. It doesn't take that long, but you'll have some fun with just this first phase. And then the second phase, where you use your OC, the Eggman has gotten angry and starts destroying the platforms himself. He attacks the battlefield with his giant hand, and you're meant to use your homing attack or Wispin on the hand, but you can actually do it on that red spot on the Death Egg Robot. It does significantly more damage than attacking the hand. And then the phase with your OC is done. Some weird bugged robot comes out of the Death Egg Robot, which is extremely creepy. And it pretty much transports Sonic, Classic Sonic, and your OC to Null Space. And then it's a repeat of the Sonic Colors boss fight, where you pretty much just need to catch up to the Death Egg Robot to dash, to homing attack a couple of times, and with each passing phase, it gets harder and harder, with flames, drills, and lasers everywhere. And then when you drain the Death Egg Robot's health to near zero, Sonic teams up with your OC character and Classic Sonic and uses a triple boost to just dash through the Death Egg Robot. It is by far the best level in the game. While I still prefer the Sonic Colors boss, this one is phenomenal as well, and I'm excited to play the next Sonic game I get my hands on, which most likely will be Sonic Mania at some point. I've been a Sonic fan all my life, and Sonic Forces isn't the best game ever. It's actually not that long and beefy. And I am stunned that Sonic has gotten so many bad games over the years, but luckily I haven't played any of the bad games. My house has a couple of Sonic games, but most of them are good. At some point, there will be another video where I show Sonic more love on this channel, and I don't know when that's going to come. But thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Later!